Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we have to be very careful when we start to question juries and the steps that lead to the jury system. I think all of this is extremely dangerous, and I think that right now,
would you yield for 1 second, and I promise
let me get through my comments,
okay.
And then I absolutely will. I think right now, House Republicans are doubling down on a very dangerous proposition, because this proposed bill codifies presidential immunity in 2 steps. It allows, first, any president to remove any civil or criminal case from state court to federal court related to, quote, any act while in office. And second, it establishes a presumption of immunity for any of the removed cases. And so the result is that not just Donald Trump, but any future president, and I would just turn it back to you and say, if you have a Democratic president, is this what you want? Any president is shielded, including Donald Trump, is shielded from civil or criminal liability for any violation of state law simply because he's president. We are not supposed to have kings in this country. And I want to take one of the arguments that Justice Sotomayor made during the Supreme Court discussion of presidential immunity. Imagine that President Trump, and you can substitute any Democratic and Republican name in here, but let's imagine that President Trump authorizes the military to assassinate Joe Biden, and that a local prosecutor brings a first-degree murder charge. Because the act happened, quote, while in office, Trump would be able to remove the criminal case to federal court. Then he would be able to assert immunity since the case was removable, and there would be no justice achieved. If that sounds extreme, it's because the bill is extreme. And I think when you ask us to apply it in a different situation, and I am going to try to give you a minute here, I think you have to think about, is this what you want? That's not where it ends. The bill actually even goes further than the Supreme Court did, because it expands immunity to all acts, including acts that have nothing to do with presidential duties. So here's another hypothetical example. Imagine that President Trump confiscates farmland to build a Trump hotel and golf course. Then a local prosecutor brings charges against Trump for larceny. And once again, because the act occurred, quote, while in office, Trump would be able to remove the state court case to federal court, and then when in federal court, he'd be able to assert immunity from criminal liability because the case was removable. I do think that one of the hallmarks of our democracy, if my colleagues on the other side agree with the principle of democracy, is that the president is not a king. The president is not a king, and yet it seems to me that my colleagues on the other side, intentioned or not, are doing everything in their power to make the president, not just this one, but any future one, a king. This bill, if enacted, would make him a king. So I'm going to yield to Mr. Van Drew, just so you can respond. Is this what you envision, that any president should be a king? In those examples, if I substituted Biden for Trump, and would you be fine with those things happening?
Thank you. I thank the gentlelady. I appreciate her viewpoint. Yes, I would be fine. I mean, federal court, inherently, there is nothing.
So Mr. Van Drew, so you are okay with the president having zero accountability? Republican president, Democratic president, zero accountability,
no,
and being able to do anything they want, including murder, including appropriating farm. Our job is to take it to the hypothetical of the things that could happen. That's what we do when we pass legislation.
Give me 30 seconds. So, no, of course I wouldn't be all right. Nobody's saying that, and that would also, murder is a federal crime, can be a federal crime.
But he would have immunity according to this bill.
But we've never had this issue before, and the problem is that we now have prosecutors and attorneys general in various locations. And again, be careful what you wish for. Hypothetically, I'm going to be very open-minded here. It could happen where you had just the reverse situation. A very, very, very Republican state goes and sues a president or a vice president that's a Democrat. In fact, it well may have happened. And the other issue that I wanted to deal with real quickly is cases are moved all the time. what
Well,
they believe.
Mr.
are
Van
more
Drew, I'm going to
neutral
reclaim my
ground.
time because that is part of the process. They either get moved or they don't get moved. The determination is made. You either believe in the justice system or you don't. And what my colleagues have been doing is undermining the justice system over and over again and not holding the president accountable, giving him a free rein, or her, potentially in the future in this country, a free rein to do anything they want, I don't think serves our justice system. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady